There was another murder of a black child in Modoc, South Carolina, and nobody is talking about it. Major media outlets won't bring it up. And I would like to help bring attention to this because Daryl's life had value. If the roles had been reversed and a white child had been stabbed and drowned by two black children, it would be all over the globe. This is Daryl Lowry. He had recently been placed in the home of Bernie Hamby, who is a county council chairman and runs a foster care out of his home. Apparently, he was fast asleep on the day or the morning that this occurred when Daryl was stabbed and held underwater by two of his foster children. And I use the term children loosely because one of them is 17. This is the mugshot of one of them, the 17-year-old. His name is Landen Austin Moore. He and another juvenile stabbed Daryl Lowry and then drowned him, holding him underwater, and then left his body floating in the water at the dock. Again, I want you to imagine if the roles were reversed, how this would be handled in the media. Daryl's life had value, and there were people that loved him. His life circumstances weren't great, but he was loved, and he wanted to go home. If the state is going to take children away from their parents, and sometimes it's necessary, and then the state fails you in protecting you, and the foster parent fails in protecting you, accountability must be paid.
Here we go again, y'all, with the bullshit. This is like the fourth or fifth story I've seen of an innocent young black child being unalived at the hands of a white man or a white woman, as you can clearly tell from the other video I shared with you guys. It's beyond disturbing to see these stories like this. And salute to the white woman who shared this. I was in actual shock. I'm starting to see more and more of our white sisters, not sisters, sisters. Thank you, sister, for sharing this, because I didn't see this either. I never even heard of this story until I seen this on my feed. At this point, it's like, who do you blame? Do you blame the system or do you blame the parents? Who do you blame? Because it seems like the state failed them. Foster parents failed him. And not only that, but he was unalived at the hands of his foster brothers, I believe. And his foster parent was a county official. Why isn't his ass locked up? Lock his ass up too. I'm tired of this shit. So I decided to take some notes from the news article that I just read about this whole case. So that way you don't have to worry about reading it. But I dropped a link below in the description box in case you would like to refer back for all the details. So the foster parent's name, in case you did not catch it in the very beginning of this video, was McCormick County Council Chairman Bernie Hamby out of South Carolina. Remember that name, because the name is very important. He's a very big county official, apparently. He has a big name in that little town, wherever they're from. This is what the news article wrote. This is quote unquote from the news article, okay? South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, or the SLED, charged 17-year-old Landen Austin Moore for the murder, or the unaliving, because I know how YouTube is, of Daryl Martinez Lowry on Monday, July the 20th. A 16-year-old was also arrested in connection with the case and was transported to the South Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice. The McCormick County Sheriff's Office released a mugshot Wednesday of the suspect with a warrant describing Moore as 6 foot 2 inches tall and 180 pounds. Now listen very closely to this part. Meanwhile, the victim was listed as 5 foot 2 inches tall and approximately 125 pounds. Did you catch that? Let me reread this for you so you can get a good picture of what they were dealing with. The suspect, the guy in the mugshot that you just saw, that white boy, was described as 6 foot 2 inches tall, 180 pounds. Meanwhile, the victim was only 5 foot 2 inches tall and approximately 125 pounds. That's a big difference in weight class. You're talking about a really big, tall-ass bully that's pretty much twice the size of that young kid that he unalived, along with the other kid. I'm continue reading. According to the arrest warrant, the two teens were involved in a physical altercation with Lowry, who was the victim, the black boy, at a boat dock during the early morning hours of July 20th. Investigators allege the fight left Lowry with knife lacerations before Moore, who was the suspect in the mugshot, and a 16-year-old unlawfully, intentionally, and with malice aforethought unalived him underwater until he died. Now, after learning the details and the specifics around this case, first of all, I want to shout out to the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division for taking care of business and actually making arrests, unlike the Mississippi Law Enforcement Division, who won't make an arrest in regards to the Nolan Wells case. But it's just very sad that this is like a vicious cycle running over and over and over. I feel like the world is one big clown circus that's just spinning in wheels over and over and over. And for the record, knowing that this was a foster child situation where there were foster children involved that unalive this young innocent black baby, I feel like at this point we should just go ahead and start charging the foster parents too. Not just the foster children, charge the parents too. Even though the parents had nothing to do with it, I feel like the foster parents technically should be hit with child endangerment because you allow these punk ass white kids to endanger another innocent child who happened to be a black child, and now he lost his life. At this point, I feel like that every state, in order to make it fair across the board, if the child is in your care and the state left them in your care, then your ass need to be charged too. I don't give a damn. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the governor. Charge. But because he got that fancy little McCormick County councilman title, nothing's going to happen to him, of course. He's protected, obviously. That's why this story hasn't really went mainstream media, as you can tell. But don't worry, I'm going to bring it to the forefront so y'all can share it with your family and your friends and tell everybody else in the whole world that what's going on in South Carolina. Because again, this is not getting the attention nor the traction it should be. And the only reason I've seen it come across my feed is because of Instagram. Again, I find a lot of very interesting stories on Instagram and TikTok all the time. You'd be surprised. And sometimes Facebook too, but I'm barely on Facebook. But anyway, I felt like now we need to take more accountability, especially when you have a child in your care. Even though, like I said, they didn't do the crime, they should definitely be charged, even though they didn't do the crime, because you failed to have that child in a safe environment, and now that child is gone because you failed as a foster parent. You failed. And I'm just like, first of all, what was them boys doing at the boat dock in the early morning hours on a Monday anyway? First of all, don't they have curfew? Because the last time I checked, I believe that every state has curfew in place for teenagers. The last time I checked, don't they have curfew for minors? Because it sounds like that they broke the curfew law. And normally that's a misdemeanor, so it might be a little small citation, not a big deal. But when you have a child who is in your care, who is a juvenile, by the way. This child was only 13 years old that was unalive. Just want to make sure y'all know that. This is a 13-year-old black boy who was intentionally unalive by two white boys that put him underwater and drowned him after they sliced and diced him. Yeah, they stabbed him first and then put him underwater to drown him intentionally. And yet, the foster parent receives no charges for negligence, for child endangerment, no type of charges, nothing. But let that would have been a black parent. Let that would have been a white boy that two black boys put underwater and stabbed and drowned. Then what would happen in that situation? I bet you $1 million they would have happily arrested whoever the foster parent was too for endangerment. Yeah, it's reckless endangerment, child endangerment. But no, they didn't do that. Oh no. He's a county councilman, so of course they're not gonna arrest or charge Mr. Bernie Hamby, the McCormick County councilman. But yeah, I'm just like, there is no hope for the future at this point. There really isn't. I feel like there's no hope anywhere. It seems like as these months go by, we're still in the summertime, by the way. We haven't even finished summer and we're already having so many crazy stories. I just feel like it's really hopeless right now. It really is. I feel like a lot of these Black children are not being protected the way that they should be protected. I feel like the system is not doing enough. Now, like I said, I appreciate South Carolina for jumping on this and making some action and arresting the people involved. I appreciate that a lot. But what I don't appreciate is not having the foster parent take accountability for this unaliving. That's the part I don't appreciate. But yeah, y'all let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments, because I have no other words for this, because this is just completely reckless at this point. I feel like more and more people who probably shouldn't have foster children are getting more access to innocent young Black babies, and then this is what happens. I hate to say it, but I told you so. Like, it's like, what do you say to that? You know, it's like, this clearly tells me that the state doesn't care. The state don't give a damn about Black children in general. And I guarantee you those punk ass white kids that did this to this young Black boy probably had a long rap sheet of charges or records behind them. And people don't realize that sometimes not every kid that's in foster care is an innocent child. They are placed in foster care for a reason. And sometimes we don't even know what that reason is. That's the question you have to ask. What is the reason why that child was placed in foster care in the first place? Was it because their parents were unalived from an accident? Or was it because they were a badass child and they were just intentionally placed in foster care? Or was it because the parents gave up custody and placed them in foster care because they couldn't handle it? It could be a number of things, but them badass white kids that did this shit, I guarantee you they weren't as innocent before all of this happened. I guarantee you they probably had a long rap sheet of bullshit. And that's probably why their asses ended up in foster care in the first place. But yeah, I'm done. I'm sick of it.